Coming up on The Cycle, should you go to jail for encouraging someone to commit suicide over text? British imams rally to deny the London Bridge attackers a Muslim funeral. And we get down to the truth about information leaks in politics. All that and more coming at you live right now. Hey, welcome to The Cycle. I'm Aaliyah Jasmine.
And I'm Jacques Slade. Let's do a quick run through Tuesday's biggest stories, just in case you missed it.
So if you watched yesterday, you remember that we told you about the very delicate diplomatic situation with Qatar, how it's extremely difficult to pick a side. Well, clearly the president did not watch our show.
As part of his daily morning ritual of throwing the world out of balance via Twitter, Trump credited his recent visit to Saudi Arabia as the reason many Parisian Gulf countries cut off diplomatic relations with Qatar.
Yeah, Trump has always taken a hardline stance against Qatar. In fact, didn't he actually meet with the Emir of Qatar on that trip to Saudi Arabia? And what was his firm stance then? Let's listen.
We are friends. We've been friends now for a long time indirectly, haven't we? And our relationship is extremely good. We have some very serious discussions right now going on.
There's also news that just broke this afternoon saying a piece of fake news that helped set off this rift might have been planted by the Russians. So, there's that.
Yeah, that's fun. Moving on, Forbes reports that Eric Trump's annual charity golf tournament benefiting St. Jude's Children's Hospital gave $100,000 of its proceeds to the Trump Organization for expenses, like using the Trump golf courses.
Isn't that like taking money from sick children?
No, that's actually taking sick money from sick children.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah. As you can imagine, these rich, important donors are upset, and I can't blame them. Their hard-earned money's not supposed to be going to Trump golf courses. That's what the middle-class tax players are for.
You stumbled, but I still got the joke.
Yeah,
that was really good.
I
liked it. Okay, well, listen, Eric Trump hasn't commented yet, but if he did, we assume it was because he wanted his dad to finally love him.
All right.
Allegedly.
Next story. U.S.-backed Syrian fighters launched an attack to capture Raqqa, the so-called capital of ISIS.
Yeah, so ISIS has occupied the city since 2014 and used it to house many of its fighters and plan terror attacks. If the slow recapture of the city of Mosul in Iraq is any indication, the battle over Raqqa won't be resolved for a long time.
And finally, internationally respected, Oxford-educated human rights lawyer Amal Clooney gave birth to twins.
That's right. Amal and her husband, actor George Clooney, welcomed a baby boy, Alexander, and a girl, Ella, into this world.
Yeah, sources in the room say Alexander Clooney's smoldering good looks have already caused 2 nurses to faint.
Which means Ella Clooney will be representing them as they sue the hospital.
And that's in case you missed it. And now those headlines that got buried today by Trump and Clooney, it's below the fold.
Okay, so number 1, at least 200 Muslim leaders across the UK have signed a statement saying they will refuse to perform funeral prayers for the London Bridge attackers.
They distributed a message on social media saying the terrorists' actions are at odds with the teachings of Islam and that they're not welcome in their community, either in life or in death.
It's pretty powerful, and we'll link you to this important statement in the comments below.
I'm definitely going to read that. I'm just not sure how I feel about it quite yet.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting question, probably with lots of points of view. So what do you think about the imam's decision? Leave a comment below. We would love to hear what you think and discuss it with you.
All right, the second story. Opening arguments began in the trial of Michelle Carter, the 20-year-old woman charged with manslaughter for her boyfriend's suicide.
Prosecutors say Carter sent dozens of messages encouraging her boyfriend to take his own life just before he ultimately did.
It should be a sad but fascinating trial. Can she really be held responsible? She wasn't even there, but would he have done it without those text messages? Well, we'll watch and we'll keep you updated.
Okay, number 3, leaders from Black Lives Matter and the NAACP demanded the removal of 6 Confederate monuments in, get this, the state of Arizona.
If you're thinking, wait, Arizona? Well, you're on the right track, since Arizona didn't become a state until 50 years after the Civil War. But it turns out Arizona was a Confederate territory, and the westernmost battle of the Civil War was actually fought there.
A representative of the Sons of Confederate Veterans said the group opposes this removal and said, quote, "As our ancestors did not give up, neither will we." That's what he declared. How How does he think the Civil War ended?
I don't know. I can't even answer
Just
that.
saying.
Finally, number 4, police in Wales made what's believed to be the world's first arrest aided by facial recognition software.
Wow, I thought that was just something from the Fast and the Furious movies, but this all raises some serious questions about government surveillance and the right to privacy.
Yeah, it's truly amazing technology that uses a network of closed-circuit cameras to compare faces to a database of photos, so police can have 100% pinpoint accuracy when they arrest the wrong black guy.
And that's below the fold.
Now it's time for a story that for a lot of us was TLDR or too long didn't read. Tonight we're focusing on this New York Times headline: Asia's illegal wildlife trade makes tigers a farm-to-table meal.
Yeah, it sounds gross. And you know what? It is. The story centers on a resort in Laos. Did I say that right?
Yes, Laos.
Laos? Yes, Laos. It features hotels, casinos, a restaurant, a tiger habitat. It kind of all makes sense, right? Rich people love tigers. They laugh at them in the Hangover films. They buy Frosted Flakes from an animated one. They support their golf careers despite the countless mistresses and DUI arrest.
He's a fantastic player. Just put
You
that
are
out
also
there.
rich.
It turns out there are places like this all over Asia that house animals under the guise of conservation. But critics say these zoos are really just exotic animal factories. For example, once the tigers are slaughtered at this spot in Laos, their meat gets served at the restaurant and their bones, well, they get used to make wine.
And not just the tigers, though. Bear paw can be found on the menu, too. These bears are forced to live with a tube permanently inserted into their gallbladders, which is used to extract bile for traditional medicines.
This is a great opportunity for Mar-a-Lagos to rehab its image. They can say, we're the luxury resort that doesn't torture bears.
Yeah, and Mar-a-Lago is a lot easier to say than Laos.
It is.
This practice is rampant across Southeast Asia and increasingly in China. Activist groups report that it's not just tigers and bears, but all sorts of animals, including leopards, rhinos, and elephants being raised and sold illegally.
It's like that famous quote from The Wizard of Oz: lions and tigers and bears run, like really run for your life, run now.
Yeah, it's actually so bad that there are currently far more tigers in these questionable farms than in the wild. The governments of these countries say they've pledged to crack down on the practice, but all indications are that in many places, politicians are actually profiting from the farms.
And we get it. This may feel like something that's happening way across the world and you have no power to do anything, but that's not the case.
Right.
If you go to a place like Thailand, don't visit a tiger park. Yes, it makes for an awesome Instagram post. I know you want to do it for the gram, but don't.
Don't.
But the animals you're posing with, well, or perhaps eating, well, they live a life of borderline torture until it's old enough to be killed. Remember when Charlie Sheen said he had tiger blood? A good rule of thumb is whatever Charlie Sheen puts in his body, you should not put in your body.
That's a great rule of thumb. And second, we can also pressure our representatives to crack down on the exotic animal trade here in the U.S. That way, no one can point a finger back at us. Let's get these beautiful tigers back in their natural habitats, the jungles of India, the snows of Siberia, because the way that you spend your money on vacation, that's how you make a difference.
And that's TLDR.
Okay, so moving on. Sometimes politics gets in the way of being able to really understand a subject. That's where we come in with a segment called The Left, the Right, and the Truth.
Tonight, we're talking about leaks. Not the kind that President Trump allegedly films in the Russian hotel rooms, but the times when government employees share information with the press. You see it all the time. When a story says current administration official or a person familiar with the matter, the information almost certainly came from a leaker.
Yeah, let's start with the right's point of view. So it's become common practice among Republicans to freak out about leaks whenever a negative news story gets published. President Trump especially seems to be obsessed with leaks.
You also see it in Congress, where committee hearings get sidetracked from the issue at hand by Republicans who act as if leaks are the biggest issue facing our country right now.
Yeah, and it's easy to poke fun at the complaints about leakers because of who they're coming from, but there is a very simple, legitimate case against leaks. Government information is secret for a reason. If every move made by an administration or inside an administration is known by the public, it becomes pretty much impossible to run a country.
So what about the left? Well, their argument is easy to understand too. People have the right to know what the government is doing in their name. Sometimes the only way for that to happen is for information to leak. That's only become more obvious since Trump became president. Leaks have provided us with pretty much everything we know about the alleged misdeeds of the administration. Leaks from within the FBI let us know about the Comey letter. Someone inside the White House leaked the story of Trump blabbing classified intel to the Russian. And that's just the past few months. Some of the most important events in American political history, period, like the Pentagon Papers and the Watergate, well, they started with leaks.
Yeah, so now that we've heard both sides, what's the truth? You're probably expecting us to side with the left since we're un-American commie liberals and all. But we're not going to do that.
The real truth is that it's a waste of breath to debate whether leaks are good or they're bad. Either argument has a long list of examples to prove their case. In fact, the left and the right opinions on this issue, well, they flip when who's in power. If the Democrats are in power, it's one way, or if the Republicans in power, it's another way. Case in point, Barack Obama is said to have investigated and prosecuted more whistleblowers than all other U.S. presidents combined.
Yeah, this is where you all Google Snowden. The proper way to look at leaks is to accept them as a fact of American politics that goes all the way back to Thomas Jefferson. Preventing leaks is part of the job of running a country. The flood of leaks coming out of our current White House is a sign of the Trump administration's competence, or its lack thereof.
So leaks aren't evil or good. They just are. And that's the left, that's the right, and that's the truth.
Okay, and finally, you may be familiar with the legendary names of some of history's proudest horses: Secretariat, War Admiral, American Pharaoh. Well, it's time to add another name to that list. Meet Horsey McHorseface. The owners of this 2-year-old gelding chose its moniker using the time-honored process of saying, "Hey, why not?" That was actually a direct quote.
Yeah. The name Horsey McHorseface was, of course, inspired by Bodie McBoatface, a research vessel named in an online poll made by people who didn't know that you should never include a write-in option. Never. The boat sparked an online trend of naming everything available something face.
And get this, Horsey McHorseface just won his first ever Horsey McHorse race. He's really making a name for himself.
That's it for The Cycle. I'm Jacques McJacqueface.
And I'm Aaliyah McJasmineface. You should like and follow this page so you never miss The Cycle. We will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Make sure to follow us at The Cycle Live on Twitter and Instagram.
And like, share, subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook, all that good stuff at The Cycle Live.